All right, good evening, parents. Welcome to the 2020 version of Open House here at Hoffman Estates High School. My name is Mr. McGann, and I am your student's teacher for consumer education during this first semester of the school year. A little bit about me. First off, you see some contact information there, and I'll share that at the end as well. So if you need to get in touch with me, email is a great way, but there's a number to our office. I've been at Hoffman a long time, so this is my 20th year here at Hoffman, and I taught a couple of years at Streamwood High School before that, so I believe this is my 23rd year overall teaching, but obviously a majority with District 211 here at Hoffman. I received a business degree in finance from Eastern Illinois University, and started out actually working in the stock market a little bit before getting into the education world. Other classes I teach, obviously this one, I teach accounting. I teach a class in finance and investing, which is a new class, a newer class, a couple years old. So if your student shows an interest in that field, then we have a class dedicated just to that world of finance and investing. As far as remote learning, so way back when District 211 decided to become a one-to-one school, meaning all students get an iPad or receive an iPad for instruction, it started out small. So only 5 teachers in each of the 5 high schools were selected to kind of pilot the idea, and I was one of those 5. So this whole kind of world of teaching using electronic tools is something I've been doing for years. Okay, so it's been relatively smooth for me. So hopefully your student has a smooth experience. Obviously, I can't control every technical hiccup that might happen, but as far as the curriculum, pretty much everything I do and have been doing for the last 10 plus years has been 100% online anyway. So not too much of a transition for myself. As far as my expectations in this kind of environment, probably the same thing you're going to hear from everybody. Being on time obviously is important. Probably the most challenging part of this for me is taking attendance. So typically I take attendance as the students enter the waiting room for our Zoom call, and I just mark a piece of paper and then admit them into the room. Okay, so once we get going, it gets a little bit tougher to stop, let somebody in, stop, let somebody in. So being punctual, as always, in any situation is certainly very helpful. I do encourage them to stay on camera. You know, I can't force them. There is no rule. You know, there's privacy issues I get, and, you know, kids hate being on camera. Well, some of them like being on camera. So I let them, I encourage it, maybe at least for a minute or two in the beginning so I can say hello and see a face and put a face to a name. But it is an optional feature. I do expect them to be engaged in listening when we're together as a group. Okay, now again, I'm not there. So if they turn their camera off and all I see is their name or their picture, and they decide to, you know, head outside and shoot baskets or something, you know, I don't know, okay? But I talk about being self-accountable, right? So are they taking advantage of the situation, or are they engaged in actively working as they would in a regular school year? They are given plenty of independent time to work. So again, we talk about being self-accountable. Okay, when, you know, no one's looking directly over your shoulder to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know, it's only you that can do that. I encourage them to communicate just like they would in a normal school year. If they're shy about talking, you know, in a group setting, we have the chat window. We have a remind group set up for the class, so they can reach out to me that way. They can certainly always email. But again, I just encourage them to let me know, and it's been good so far. And then I do expect them, as I've kind of alluded to use this opportunity to grow as a self-reliant problem solver. So things are going to go wrong, right? So it's, you know, maybe they're doing an assignment later on or at night, and, you know, I'm not available. What can they figure out? Or something goes wrong with Zoom or their iPad, to really just try to figure things out, okay? And this is an opportunity to do that. What a class looks like, we greet, take attendance, say hello. We recap, usually I recap what we did the last class, give a preview of what we're gonna do that day. So what the focus is, the learning target, and just kind of preview it to generate some interest. And then typically they'll go and work on their own. I don't like to talk too much. I don't like to lecture at them. Some days that's gonna happen, but typically I like for them to get out there and find information, hear it, see video, read articles, and then we come back and summarize it together. I don't mind if they leave the Zoom meeting. We always give a designated time to be back. We typically with 10 minutes left in the class, at least 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, then we all come back together and we summarize what we were just working on, the key points, the key takeaways. And then we always end with an exit question. So I use an app for that. It also helps to double check attendance to make sure everybody came back and everybody is with the class. This class that they're in, consumer ed, is required to graduate. It's required everywhere in Illinois, but not every district has a class like this. Some offer other classes to count for this requirement. Luckily, District 211 sees the importance of it. But really what they're learning how to become is a financially responsible adult. Okay, so things like basic economic principles, consumer rights and responsibilities, people that are out there to help if needed. Basics of banking, using a bank. Many of them already have a savings account. Some of them have a checking account. If your son or daughter or student doesn't have either, I would encourage them, even if they put a little bit into a savings account, just so they can get comfortable with that. We get into a unit on investments. So this is where some interest in the stock market might pop up with your student, and they may want to enroll in that finance and investing class. We do tackle the world of credit, so whether that's credit cards, student loans, mortgages, credit reports, credit scores. It's a pretty big unit, so we want to make sure they are aware of what they're doing when they decide to take on debt and take on credit. We get into the world of insurance. So there's health insurance, life insurance, car insurance, home insurance, lots of different insurance, iPad insurance. We talk about the world of careers available in insurance. There are more people employed in the insurance industry in the state of Illinois than any other industry. So it's a large one. So many of them, or some of them, will end up working in that field. Taxes is kind of changing. So we look at the different places we pay taxes, income tax, sales tax, things like that. And then we focus on tax returns. I don't have them fill out paper anymore. We used to have the kids fill out 1040s, but since the standard deduction has been raised so high, the concept of itemizing deductions is really not as relevant, certainly not at 16 to 18 years old. So we just talk about the process of a tax return and the different forms that go into it. We'll see in this remote environment, maybe they'll do one online where they would use an online tool to complete a tax return. And then we finish up with budgeting, okay? Making sure, as you guys know, that money is available to pay the bills when needed, and to make sure we're putting money away, and what system we're going to use to make sure that that process continues once we are out on our own and responsible for all the bills. Okay, so again, we're just learning to be a responsible adult. Their grade, 70% of it is going to be what they do in class. Each unit does have a test, and that is going to make up the other 30%. As far as homework goes, they can turn in work for a certain unit up until we take a test for that unit. And then after that, it would need to be some sort of special circumstance if they needed more time. And they're aware of that. I've made that very clear to them. There are academic supports available for every class. So the students have a sign-up genius that they can get to, whether it's myself, any teacher for any class. Some of that might be done remotely, on like maybe a one-on-one or a small group Zoom call, or some are able to go into the building in the afternoon if needed. All right, so those are available. All right, thank you for your time. I won't keep you any longer here. But again, there's my contact info. Again, my name is pronounced Mr. McGann. There's my email, my phone number. I appreciate your time, and good luck with everything. And please reach out if I can help you in any way. Have a great time. Great night.